Shalom, God, shalom. I wanted to talk to y'all today about this movie, Bird Box. Um, yeah, I wanted to break down the metaphysics of it. Now, I only seen one person's video who did it. I think she did a real good job. Lucid Living TV, but I wanted to do it from my own perspective. And I actually, because a friend of mine on Facebook had said she didn't understand the movie. And I had actually wrote a comment to her about, a little bit about what I felt it was about 2 days ago. So I just wanted to show y'all this comment so y'all know I'm not copying nobody's information. These was my own very thoughts. Before I even watched her video, because her video came out a day ago. I wrote this comment 2 days ago. So, but it just tripped me out that we was so on point. Like she was on point and I was on point. But I just want to add a little bit more to it because, and I recommend for everybody to go watch her video. She did a real good video. I just wanted to add a little bit more to the movie because I want to talk about, what the occult does with this stuff. Um, we did the video about TVs, and when you watch something on TV, they bend the truth. We talked about how the TV is a mirror, and mirrors they bend the light, right? So basically, when they do these movies, they have to bend the truth, but tell the truth at the same time. So they keep the same storylines, but they switch it. So just like the occult do, male to female, female to male, they change things backwards, upside down. And this is what the scripture says, that Satan turns things upside down. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that because in the movie, they had the people who was seeing, who would see whatever it was they were seeing, and actually it was some drawings um, in the movie of what he had seen. I believe when the guy had died at the computer desk, and I believe I seen an orb on one of them, but I will have to go back and rewatch because I only watched the movie one time, y'all. So, and this was like when it first came out. And I had been meaning to do this video and a winter solstice video, and I just had never got the time because we were so busy during Christmas. Like, oh my goodness, it was enough. Like, it's boxes all over my house right now that I still got to go pick up and stuff. So, but I wanted to do this before I started my day and started doing all of that because I'm like, if I don't do it now, then I won't probably ever do it. But it was people who were wanting to see, and then there were people who were not wanting to see. Now, I want to talk about this, okay? Because what they did with this movie was they turned it around. So the people who were seeing was like the bad people trying to make the other people see so that they could commit suicide or whatever their reason was for trying to make them see. And the people they didn't want to see because they didn't want to go crazy and commit suicide. Now, they switched this around. Now, I tell y'all this every time I break down the movie. They switched this around. The people who see are actually in real life, okay, are actually the awake people. They see, and it doesn't affect them. They have a positive outcome. The people who see and they commit suicide and all that, that's just representation of killing yourself, spiritual and physically. So your kundalini dropping, being in your lower self, sin equals death, etc. So when it was talking about suicide, when they was committing suicide, it was just killing their spiritual and physical self. That's what it was a representation of them not raising their frequency. So when they seen it, they were in their lower state. The people who seen it and they was happy that they seen it, they were actually in their higher state, but they made them seem to be the bad guys, because that's what they do. They make the good people, they make the good guys the bad guys, and the bad guys the good guys. They do that in all the movies. Now I told y'all this in the Matrix, that Neo and them was actually the bad guys, but they had them playing the role. They had them, they represented them, I would say, as the good people. They put them out there as the good people in the movie, right? And this is what happened. Same thing with the other movie I broke down. What was the movie? The Marvels movie with Thoth. Is that his name? I can't quite remember, y'all. But same thing with him. He wanted to depopulate the planet to help it replenish. They made him the bad guy, but he was actually, this is what it says is in your scriptures. You know what I'm saying? So, they flip it around and make the good guys the bad guys. So in the movie, the people who actually could see, and they were in their higher state, and it didn't affect them. They wanted other people to see. When we wake up, y'all, the first thing we want to do is we want to tell people. We want to tell people what we experienced and what we learned. And it's just like some people, they don't understand, they don't get it. It's like, dang. And we start to feel like nobody understands us until we find people or a community where we can talk about these type of things to other people who understand. So that's what that was representative of. They wanted the people to see, but they were blind, and that's what the scriptures say that some of them were blind. And we have to awake. So the people who were seeing, they were actually awake. The people who were able to see was awake. Now the girl, the main character in the movie, who had to wear the blindfold, they were actually in their lower states. That's why they had to wear the blindfold. That was symbolism of their third eye being closed. And Lucid Living, she actually mentioned this in her video. I thought that was so cool. I'm like, we on the same page, girlfriend. We on the same page. So let me read this to y'all before I go and finish, my breakdown. So I say the movie is very occult. It's a lot of symbolism. They had to be blindfolded, which was symbolic for their third eye being closed. At the end, they reached paradise and got to take them off, meaning they had opened the third eye at the end. People were manifesting their worst nightmares. Now I want to talk about this because my last video was about where do you want to be in the shift, heaven or hell. And we talked about manifesting your worst nightmares in the very last video I did before I actually watched this video. So, this movie. So that's very funny to me that I did that video and then I watched this movie and it was exactly what I was saying about the shift in that previous video. So if you guys want to go watch my previous video that I did before this, where do you want to be during the shift, heaven or hell? So as people were manifesting their worst nightmares. This is what will happen to people who are not raising Kundalini, who are not reaching their higher selves. All of these movies, she was saying, Lucid Living even said this, she said they all have the same underlining meaning, and they do. It's all about becoming God, raising your consciousness, opening your third eye. That's what they're all about. So it says, they will manifest things like hell in their life because that is what they resonate with. It's where they were vibrating at. It's a lot more to discuss. Even the necklace he gave. So even Lucid Living, she had mentioned the necklace. And I was like, girl, you on point, girl, because that's the same thing that I just said. So it's they were vibrating at, it's a lot more to discuss. Even the necklace he gave was symbolism of raising Kundalini. The scriptures tells us if our eyes be single, then our whole body shall be full of light. If we open our third eye, we will be in a state of light. Light is information, consciousness, etc. It's a lot when you know what to look for. So that's what I had said to my friend on her page. Of course she didn't respond back because she's like, girl, what the hell is you talking about? Like I was saying, them wanting people to see. It's like me writing that comment, wanting to explain to her because she was like, what was, she didn't get it. She was like, it wasn't a good movie. She didn't understand what it was about. And I'm like, this is not the type of movie that's, for everybody. So I tried to explain it to her, but see what I'm saying? They want people to see. We want people to see. We all have been there, on our journey, like, and I have been there at a point in my journey, like just wanting to tell everybody what I'm learning, break it down to them, and it's just like I've learned that you can't do that. It's a scripture that say, "Do not pray for these people." And I know people would think that, oh, don't. Why would it say not to pray for somebody? Because you stressing yourself out trying to pray for these people or get them to understand these things, and it's just not their time. It's when it's their time, then it'll happen. I understand now that I can just plant seeds, so I might say a little something, and then that seed, if so, I'll say a little bit, and that seed will eventually become water and start to grow on its own. The scripture says, every man in his own order. So, as much as we try to force people awake, it's going to happen at their own time. And, if some people have to be forced awake, it's not going to be, personally by us here. It's going to be by a big event like in the movie, which we are calling the shift, right? In 2020, the Great Conjunction. So, you know, I learned through my journey that, I was stressing myself out and causing more chaos in my life trying to share this information with people who were not ready. So, I learned that, and I stopped doing that, which is stressful. And that's when I made my YouTube channel, and I said, whoever wants to listen to me, watch, or talk about this stuff, come join me. So, so the next thing I want to jump back to what we were talking about previously. So they change the narrative. They make the good guys the bad guys and everything. It's on TV. They bend the truth. 9 times out of 10, the storyline is right, but the characters and the position that's being played the are switched. Hold on, y'all. 1 second. Okay, I'm back. I have to get the little one situated. So, yeah, I was saying they changed the narrative. They changed the good guys to the bad guys, and the bad guys to the good guys. So this is something that we need to know when we're watching these movies. It's easy for me to see, but it's not easy for, everybody to see that, the roles are reversed. They always reverse the roles. So, the movie, the underlying message is about raising the Kundalini, reaching your godlike state. Because the scripture says, "We, ye are gods." We are all sons and daughters of the Most High God. So we are gods, and our, God is within us. So we are gods. We are created in the image of God, which is male and female. So, that's what it was about, boy, girl. And, she talked about bringing the masculine and the feminine together, which I totally agree with. Now, one thing that I would say I I wanted to talk about was the necklace. And I don't think it's flat earth. What it is the seven heavens. So it's not like rings of land around rings of land. It's just the 7 layers of the atmosphere. And we actually talked about this. We did a video about Enoch traveling to the 7, astral traveling actually to the 7 heavens. So it was about travel. Remember, she had to take that journey to get, to the paradise land. She had to do everything she had to do, which is a journey. She had obstacles that she had to overcome. And that's why the scripture said, those who overcome, I shall rule with a iron rod, I'm sorry. And those who endure to the end, it says things like that. Because you have to go through your journey. And this is what the 7 churches in Revelations is about. It's representation about the 7 chakras, which we all have to go through. Now, each of us are in a church right now, a chakra right now, and all of us are on our journey. So that's, what that symbolized when she was journeying. So I just want to pull up some pictures for y'all, because I couldn't find, and this is what the necklace that he actually gave her, this is what it symbolized, the 7 heavens. In the scripture it said Enoch went to the 3rd heaven. So, he was astral traveling through these particular realms. Okay, this is a good picture. And I'm not going to read about the 7 heavens and all that, because we did a whole video on it. And I just wanted to show y'all the picture they had. We did a whole video on it. So I'm going to make this a little bit smaller so y'all can just see for a minute. So this is the 7 heavens. This would be us down here. And then you see they have the levels 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 levels. And you see the stars are their background, showing you that this is up in the sky. So it's not per se like flat earth and then a ice ring and then land and then the ice ring and then land. It's not that. And I know a lot of flat earthers like to teach that, but what it actually is the 7 realms that we can't see in the atmosphere. Now we did a video we did a video where we talked about this, and we actually pulled up the 7 layers of the atmosphere. And I'm going to see if I can find the picture right quick. Where they actually use the chakra colors to represent each level of the atmosphere. So I wonder why I can't find that picture right now. Maybe it's in here. Yeah, so you see they have this grid right here. And you can see that the grid is depicting the chakra colors: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, light baby blue, dark blue to purple, which they have as exosphere. Now we talked about when you go to the 7 heavens, basically how you can astral travel to wherever you are vibrating. So let's say you at the 4th chakra, you would be able to astral travel to the mesosphere, which is the 4th heaven, the heart chakra. That's where you would be able to travel to. You vibrating at the 3rd chakra, the stratosphere. That's where you are able to astral travel to. But when you are vibrating at the 7th chakra and your 3rd eye is open, it says exosphere. So we talked about how you are able to exit the sphere, how you are able to exit at this point into different um, realities and, existences, etc. But right now, if you're not vibrating at the highest state, which is the seventh chakra and the third eye open, then you cannot exit out of this matrix. So, and it was all about being reborn again. We're going to talk about all of that, being born again. So, they were trying to open their third eye in the movie, and that's what the whole journey that they were taking was about. Now, when he gave her the necklace, that's what I wanted to show y'all. It was representing, those seven heavens, basically telling her, she had to open her third eye. See, this is what the necklace looked like, but it was, a whole circle. So this is the earth. And then you got the troposphere, the stratosphere, the mesosphere, thermosphere, exosphere. So this was a representation of the necklace he gave her. And Lucid Living was mentioning as Saturn in the seven in its rings, etc. It's symbolism of just our seven layers of the atmosphere. So, I wanted to point that out because it's all about still the seven chakras, the seven churches within us that we have to overcome to exit the matrix, which is the womb, to be reborn. So that's why I wanted to talk about being reborn, because when she was going down the rocky path or whatever, that was her going through the birth canal. Labor is rough. The scriptures say travail like a woman in labor. So, I'm sorry, so, labor is not easy. So that was what the rocky path symbolized, the water. When you give birth, your water breaks. And it's a rocky path. So that was symbolism of being reborn, because once you reach that higher consciousness, that in your third eye is open, you are reborn. You are literally reborn. So that's what that was about. You notice at the end, they got to take off the blindfolds, which represented the third eye being awake after they went through the journey, opened the third eye, was reborn. Because you notice when they talked about, she had to see, and she was like, nobody's going to see, nobody's going to look. When they got there, she had trusted within herself to literally see, but not with the physical eyes, with the third eye. So, she still had her blindfold on, but now at this point, she was seeing with her third eye. And when we see with our third eye, we technically don't really need to use our physical eye, because it was a spiritual journey. It was a spiritual journey that it was representing. Okay, so I should have wrote this down so it could have been more organized and in order. But just roll with me, y'all. So the necklace he gave her looked like this, and it was symbolism of her going through the seven chakras. Now, when she started, she was basically still in her root chakra. She was still in her survival instincts. She was comfortable. She didn't want to raise her kundalini. That's why she didn't want to leave. She didn't want him telling the kids stories. She was basically in her survival mode. She already had her routine where she was going. She had her wire that she was wrapping around so she can be able to get back and forth on the same path. So she already had her routine and everything that she was doing to basically survive. She was surviving, and that was enough for her. She didn't want to live. Basically, she didn't want to live. Survival, it was basically just survival of the fittest for her. And that's, representative of the lower chakras, our animalistic natures, which is eat, sleep, sex. So, she had got with the guy, sex. So, our basic, needs. So that's where she was at. She was stuck in that survivalist mentality. Um, and she had to get pushed on her journey. So she got pushed on the journey, and they went through the 7 um, stages down the river, and they got to the birthing canal. Where they went through the rocky path, came out reborn. They got to open the third eye. Now, notice in the beginning when she was pregnant, the birds, and Lucid Living talked about the birds. She basically was using the birds to let her know about when danger came. And I wanted to talk about this. I wanted to do a video about the winter solstice, and I wanted to actually talk about this because now is the time for us to be letting go of things. Everything, we need to follow nature. So you see how she was using the birds to let her know when something was wrong. We as a people, we don't do that today. And we look at nature around us, and we're not following the pattern of nature that everybody else is following. So at wintertime, winter solstice, everything is dying, getting ready to be reborn. And that's what we need to be doing. We need to be dying and getting ready to be reborn in the springtime, when the life comes back and everything. But right now you need to be putting off old things, etc., and getting rid of those things that are not good for you. You need to let them die. Put off, scripture says, put off the flesh, those fleshly desires that are not good for us, people that are not good for us, etc. We need to be following the path of nature. You look outside in this winter and the leaves are falling off. The leaves is falling off. Why? Because the tree needs its energy to survive through the winter. So it's like, hey, leaves, you know can't live here no more. You know what I'm saying? So it don't have that energy to share no more. So you need to make sure that you are cutting off dead weight, that you don't have that energy to share with people anymore. You need to be following nature. So that's what she was doing when she had those birds. I thought I had that off to where nobody could call me, but I guess I didn't. So and it's funny that brought up. So I'm sorry that I had to throw that in there, but I just wanted to say that because I didn't get to make my winter solstice video. But yeah, she was following nature, using the birds as a way to follow, what was going on. The animals know what's going on. They follow. We don't follow nature. So, and that's one of our issues. So, the first part of, being grounded and getting your root chakra together and open is becoming one with nature. So that's what that was representative of, her with the bird. She was in her root chakra. She was finding nature again. She was, becoming one with nature again, and using the animals as a tool or a source of, an alarm to let her know when danger was around. And those are the kind of things that we need to do. So she mastered that root chakra. She went on through her journey through all those chakras. And, the fifth chakra, the fifth and sixth chakra, the fifth chakra actually has to do with, speaking, speaking forth truth at that. So when she, at the end, when she was, you know, talking to the girl, she was speaking forth the truth, because she named the kids boy, girl. So it's like when I'm saying girl, I hope y'all know I'm talking about the little girl. And she started pouring out her heart, her truth, speaking forth her truth. She was mastering these chakras. She had mastered these chakras, and she wasn't even aware. And then she got there. She made it to the end on that journey. She got to open her third eye, and you notice that everybody in the end was blind. They didn't have to wear blindfolds. Now, like I said, they reversed the roles because in the end, everybody in the end is actually going to see. You see what I'm saying? They reverse the roles. They keep the storyline, but they reverse the roles of the people. So the people that they made look deranged and crazy, they was trying to make people see so that they can commit suicide. And it's kind of like that, like we trying to make people see, you know what I'm saying? And it's kind of like we are making people commit suicide, because sometimes that just disrupts somebody's whole spiritual, setup, everything that they're used to and comfortable with. But sometimes God will put you in somebody's life to, make them uncomfortable, disrupt their patterns in their life, to push them on their journey. But it is kind of like we making them commit suicide, because it's like, they're not ready and we're trying to push it on them. You know what I mean? And it's like they can't handle it. Paul said, I gave you milk because you weren't able to bear the meat. You know what I mean? So uh that's kind of what we're doing. We like trying to give them meat when they still on milk. And like I said in the beginning, I learned through my journey that that's just something that we can't do. We have to put our emotions and feelings sometimes on the back burner, our anxiety to want to get this information out there on the back burner. So he gave her that necklace, and it was symbolic of this, that the seven levels of heaven, that you have to go to, which corresponds exactly with the planets, color, sound. All of these things are metaphysically tied together. Oh, my baby crying. She's talking about help me because she in her room and she want to get out. So I'm trying to think, because I had a lot that I want to say, and now that I'm actually making a video, I hate when that happens. It's like now you can't really remember what you everything that you want to say. So we talked about the necklace, we talked about the reversing of the roles. Um, I'm trying to think of what else. Yeah. So, y'all, like I said, I get in these videos and I start to forget. Hold on one second. And I'm noticing that my phone is on like 1%, and I do not know where my charger is because I was so tired last night when we came home. Um, but yeah, so, it was basically just about becoming God, and this is a good picture as well. Becoming God within yourself. One moment, y'all. Okay. So yeah, the whole underlying message was about raising the chakras, opening the third eye, becoming your higher self in your godlike state. Scripture say ye are gods, ye are all sons and daughters of the most high. So, that's what it was all about. Just keep in mind that the roles was reversed. The people who were able to see are actually um, were the good, supposed to be the good people. And the people who were actually unable to see, who were committing suicide, were the ones who were in their lower state. And they were manifesting basically their worst nightmares, which we talked about in the previous video. So, guys, if you watch my videos, I've already talked about all of this stuff. That's why I'm kind of like rushing through this. Plus, my kids is like, turned up. And I guess we about to start, getting the house together and throwing all these boxes away from these toys and stuff. Um, so I guess if I think about anything else, I will come back with a part 2. Please stay tuned for the next videos. And until we meet again, family, shalom.